the story of Jesus. Hey everyone, today we're diving into the story of one of history's most influential figures, Jesus Christ. Whether you're religious, spiritual, or just curious about the guy, his life and teachings have made a massive impact on our world. So, let's unravel the story of Jesus, his journey, and why it still resonates today. To understand Jesus, we need to know a bit about the time he lived in. We're talking about first century Judea, a region under Roman rule, which meant there was a lot of tension and conflict. The Jewish people were dealing with foreign occupation, and it mixed up their everyday lives and traditions. You had different groups like the Pharisees and Sadducees, each with their own interpretations of Judaism, and then you had the Essenes, who took a more ascetic approach. So, the stage was set for someone like Jesus to come along and shake things up a bit. Now let's backtrack a little. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, in a story many of us know. His mother, Mary, was said to be a virgin, and Joseph, her husband, played an important role too. As a child, Jesus grew up in Nazareth, a small town where he lived a pretty ordinary life, nothing too flashy at all. One fascinating part of his early story was when the Magi, or wise men, came to visit him after his birth, bringing gifts. And don't forget about the escape to Egypt to dodge Herod's wrath, which adds a bit of drama to his beginnings. Fast forward a bit, and Jesus starts his ministry around the age of 30. It kicks off with his baptism by John the Baptist, which is a big deal because it symbolizes the start of something new. After that, he gathers a group of dedicated followers, his disciples. Throughout his ministry, Jesus traveled around teaching and performing miracles. Some of his most famous teachings are found in the Sermon on the Mount, where he talks about love, compassion, and forgiveness. His parables, these simple stories with deep meanings, really brought his messages to life. However, his approach often put him at odds with the religious leaders of the time, who saw him as a challenge to their authority. Now, let's talk about the intense part of the story, the Passion. This begins with the Last Supper, where Jesus shares a final meal with his disciples and hints at his upcoming sacrifice. Things take a twist when he's arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane after Judas betrays him. He faces trials before the Sanhedrin and the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Ultimately, he's sentenced to crucifixion. This moment is really heavy. Jesus suffers tremendously. And that's a pivotal point, not just in his life, but in the story of Christianity. His death resonates with themes of sacrifice and redemption, making it a powerful part of his legacy. But hold on, this story doesn't end with the crucifixion. 3 days later, something incredible happens. Jesus rises from the dead. This resurrection is found at the heart of Christian belief. It symbolizes hope, new life, and the triumph over death. After coming back, Jesus appears to his followers and reassures them, teaching them before he ascends into heaven. He promises them the Holy Spirit, which would empower them to continue his work. So what happens after? Well, Jesus' teachings lead to the formation of early Christian communities. His message spreads like wildfire across the Roman Empire, despite numerous challenges. Over the centuries, Jesus' influence reaches every corner of the globe, touching countless lives. His teachings have shaped cultures, art, literature, and moral thinking. Beliefs about kindness, justice, and love that he preached are echoed in the values many people hold today. Whether you're in a church, reading books, or encountering his story in movies, Jesus remains a monumental figure. To wrap things up, Jesus' life was a journey of love, sacrifice, and profound teachings that still matter today. It's fascinating to think about how his story influences people around the world, some 2,000 years later. So, what do you think? How has Jesus' message impacted you or the world you see today? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this chat, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Thanks for hanging out with us.